Good afternoon, everybody. Missed you guys. It's been a couple weeks. Memorial Day weekend. It's crazy. Wasn't sure how many people would be available and whatnot, so I elected to give everybody the weekend off. And so here we are. Here we are. So what I wanted to do was allow a couple minutes for people to hop on the line. We got a bunch of new people that are in the group. In fact, we are just about ready to break 900 members. So keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming. I'm happy to be here. Happy to help everybody kind of get acclimated, learn a bit more about commercial. Hopefully you have commercial requirements that are starting to fall in your lap. That's what we're here to do. Show you folks that are on the residential side how to plug in those missing pieces to the commercial side, right? So, and today's topic today is it's near and dear to my heart, right? Because we've all been at a point in our career where things were just kind of a pain in the butt, right? Yes, things weren't quite going away. You get these things that just keep going on and on and on. That there's just repeating, and you want to do something about it. You want to change something. So we're going to discuss what those things are, where they're coming from, and then also we're going to discuss what you can do about it. Okay. So I see a few people have hopped on the line. Do me a favor. The more you put in, the more you get out, right? Studies have shown that the more you interact, whether it's typing in the comment box, whether it's raising your hand, asking a question, the more you're going to get out of the presentation. So what I would invite you to do is do me a favor and go ahead and drop in the comments below, what state you're from and what submarket you're working in, so it'll be like Oklahoma and then Tulsa or whatever, right? So do me a favor. I'm going to wait for a few more people to hop on the line because it's, we're hopping in from all different time zones and so forth, and we'll see what today brings. All right. So, hope everybody had a great last couple of weeks. I got vaccinated and got real sick from it. So, but I'm good now. So we are good to go, thankfully. I thought I had a little touch of the Rona last week, which would have been my second outing into that. I had it first. I was one of the first people to have it about a year ago, April. So I thought I was done with it, but woke up last week saying, oh no, not this again. And it turns out it wasn't, thank God. But made me want to make sure I took care of myself and so forth. So here we are, ready to rock and roll, fresh as a daisy bird. And so I'm ready to get started. So I'm just gonna allow a couple more people to hop on and start shooting. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot them off in the comment section, and then I will get down to teaching. All right. So while you guys, Cynthia, how are you? Coming in from Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth. Awesome. You guys have a budding market there. I've spoken to several agents in that area. One of my close friends from growing up lives there, and apparently the city is just booming. Like can't keep wood in the lumber yard, can't keep building supplies around. So that spells amazing things for not only the housing market but also the commercial market. So awesome. Cynthia, what is the one thing that you want to learn most out of the commercial sales for realtors group? Let me know what your number one question is. You got me here. We're waiting for folks to hop on. So tell me what you've always wanted to learn, or what your biggest struggle is with learning commercial real estate. I'd be happy to address any questions you might have. And mind you, there's about anywhere between a 10 and 30-second delay between me speaking and it showing up on the other side. There's because I'm actually on Zoom, but it's actually posting to Facebook, so there's a little bit of a gap there. So by all means, sometimes there's a lag. So in any event, so what I'll do is if Cynthia doesn't have any questions, I'll go ahead and pop up on the screen. I see some more people hopping on. Go ahead and put in the comments what state you're from and what submarket you are in. Would be really cool if we had people kind of cross-pollinating and sending business each other's ways. That would be awesome too. But let's go ahead and pull up the presentation for today. Okay. All right, give it a second. It'll kind of pop up in just a sec. Okay, Cynthia, can you do me a favor? In the comments, if you can see, let's see. All right. Okay, if you can see, oh, hang on. Don't want to do that. Boom, boom, boom. Let's try it. Try this again. Got technical difficulties. I'm not a real techie dude, but I get by. Let me know if you can see the presentation. You see a picture of a handsome fella with a pink tie on. Just kidding. I'm not that much of a loser. But just type +1 in the comments if you see me with the crossed arms, tired of working weekends, so on and so forth. Basically going from residential realtor and learning the basics for commercial real estate. Awesome. Yeah, well, that is exactly what this group is designed to do. And +1, thank you so much for letting me know about that. Yeah, that is exactly what this Facebook group is designed to do. It's designed to kind of explain to you what's entailed with getting, I draw it kind of like a bridge, from one side of the bridge to the other side of the bridge. Mario, thanks for letting me know you can see the presentation. Mario, where are you coming in from? But yeah, Cynthia, so yeah, what we teach in the group is kind of what it takes to get from A to B, what those missing pieces are, and then we help you with those missing pieces, and then we show you ways where you can learn. We have different programs and trainings and so on and so forth to help to get you where you want to go. So I see Wilson's hopping on. Wilson, welcome. How are you? Good to see you on here again. Wilson's one of the regulars. He's on here just about every week, so it's good to see you. Hope you had a great weekend. Ed, oh, nice to see you. Okay, you can see me too. Awesome. Just people are, I know the announcement went out kind of late, so I just want to make sure we give everyone enough time to hop on. But if you can, folks, Mario, Wilson, Ed, go ahead and type in the comment box what state you're from and what submarket, because I love to see a little cross-pollination, and also it gives me an idea of kind of what's going on in different parts of the country. One of the funnest parts of my job is being able to speak to people in 4 different time zones, actually 5 if you count Hawaii, and you get to hear what's going on in all these little submarkets. So someone talks to me from New York, to Cleveland, to Detroit, to Dallas, to Seattle, to Portland, to LA, to Hawaii. I get a little feel for what's happening all around the country in terms of the residential market. And what's crazy is it's nearly identical. I swear everyone sounds like they're reading from the same script, but it's really amazing, which is cool though, because we can draw very, very strong conclusions from having speaking to people, and then they're all on the in the residential market and so forth. So it's really cool because we can give a very, very good diagnosis of what you need to move you along, especially if you're looking to work on the commercial side. Wilson says, great, New York City. I'm down here in Miami. I'm here in sunny Miami. It's, I don't know, 89 degrees out, 90 degrees out, something like that. We're heading into a South Florida summer. So, woo, it's getting hot, So, and then how about you, Ed and Mario? Where are you guys coming in from? What city or what state and submarket? Just out of curiosity. Yeah. And then we'll get hopping in just a second. Okay, so, and for anyone else that's just hopping on, I see a bunch of people hopping on now. Just go ahead and put your state and your submarket, where you're coming from, and we're going to get going. So, like I said, I speak to people in 5 different time zones, right? All people throughout the United States, they're and whether it doesn't matter whether you're in Seattle, Washington, or you're in Miami, Florida, or you're in LA or Santa Fe, New Mexico, we're all starting to see the same things, right? And a lot of people have the same complaints in terms of what's going on, right? So if you are tired of working weekends, you're tired of difficult clients making emotional decisions and taking you through an emotional roller coaster that's completely unnecessary, right? You're tired of 24/7 availability to customers. Here's what you do, okay? So just so you guys know, it's okay. Everybody's going through it, right? Or has at some point. What I like to lovingly call this group, it's like kind of my closest 900 friends and family, right? It's like the circle of trust, right? We're all here for the same reason. We're all here. It's a community that we're building, like-minded folks. And what's really cool is we get to draw off each other's experiences and learn from one another and help and give and receive help from one another. But what I've noticed over and over and over again is everybody is going through similar things, It just depends on where you are kind of in the arc of your career, but there's a certain point where most people go through most of what we're going to talk about today. So don't ever feel like you are alone, right? Because if you think about it, everyone that's now at the top of the mountain, guess what? They started at the bottom, made their way through the middle, made their way through almost to the top, and then they're finally at the top, right? So don't think that everybody that's at the top just got there because of luck. No, they got there. Some of them might have had advantages, sure, but a whole lot of them scrapped and scraped their way to the top, and they got the bruises and the scars to prove it, right? So it's okay if you're in a point where you're struggling, where things are a little bit tough, and you think like it's never going to end. Don't worry about it. We have all been there. I promise you. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to quit this silly line of work, but because it can be stressful, and it helps to know that other people have gone through exactly what you're going through. They're thinking the exact same thing at some point in their life or in their career, right? Like even the person that makes it look easy, right? They might make it look flawless, like Michael Jordan doing a fadeaway jumper, right? At the last second, right? It's only because he struggled at some point. Michael Jordan got cut from his freshman year basketball team. Can you imagine that? But I guarantee you him getting cut from his freshman year basketball team made him the player that he became, right? Because he struggled. It made him work and work and work and work. And this is a game that can be figured out. This is a game that can be solved. It can be won, but just don't think for a second that you guys are alone in the struggles that you're going through. Feel free to let it out, because it might help someone else. You explaining something to somebody that's going through something, it might give someone else hope. It might give someone else an idea. It might set off a light bulb that's going to help somebody else. So please feel to share. And before we go much further, okay, today it's going to be a little bit like kvetching, right? It's like we're going to commiserate a little bit, and there's a reason why, right? And I'll explain that later. If you guys can tell me what your number one complaint with the current market is, do me a favor and put that in the chat right now. I'd be very, very interested to see what the number one issue, challenge, struggle, whatever you want to call it, whatever that is, go ahead and put that in the comments for me down below. I would appreciate it. And I promise you it's going to help others. So don't think you're complaining. Don't think that you're ungrateful, because I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of amazing things going on right now. But I would like other people to see what other agents are going through. That's why we're adding what state we're from, what submarket we're from, so we can see that we're all going through this together, and then we're going to get through it together. Okay. Andre Barry says inventory. Thanks, Andre. I appreciate it. By the way, Andre, what submarket or what state are you in, as well as submarket? I'd be curious to see. So they're having inventory problems where Andre is. Ed is over in Inland Empire, Southern California. Ed, tell me about some of your struggles. And Wilson up in New York, let me know what you're dealing with. Also, Cynthia in Texas. I'm curious what you're seeing in Dallas. What's your number one challenge you're seeing on the residential brokerage side? What are you looking at? Andre's in Orlando. Okay, got it. Yep. Yeah, I have some students in Orlando. I have two students from Orlando, as a matter of fact, and they both have said that inventory is a major problem. Okay, Cynthia says acceptance of offers for FHA and VA buyers. Yeah, in a market where people are overpaying by $40, $50, $60, $70,000, over asking, like, forget it. That stuff's never going to appraise. You're never going to get an FHA or VA buyers. I mean, probably most of the owners, when they're dealing with, and do me a favor, type +1 as a way of raising your hand in the comments, right? But let me know how many of you are seeing 5, 10, 15 buyers for every house that you go out and you see, or that you could bring a buyer to if you are working with buyers. Do me a favor and type +1 in the comments below, because I want to show everybody you are not alone. Oh yeah, there we go. I got a bunch of likes. I got a bunch of hearts. Yeah. Wilson says leads generation is a problem. Okay. Cynthia says +1. Yeah. So you're seeing 5, 10, 15 people. It's crazy. What all of this smells like to me is 2006, right? I've been on the commercial side working every day since 2003. And so I got to watch that whole debacle go down. Ed Soriano down in Southern California. I see a bunch of hearts. Yeah. Low inventory. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, thanks guys for interacting. This helps. This helps everybody else see what the story is. But yeah, low inventory. Denise is from Illinois. Objection. Clients not wanting to overbid, overpay. Yep, that's exactly it. And that's the problem, really. If you think about it, most of these folks, nobody wants to overpay for something and then be the one holding the bag. But there's a whole lot of people that, they're now coming to the market saying, well, we've never been able to see the market, with these low of interest rate numbers. So we're trying to figure out, it's kind of a balancing act, right? We've never seen 2.7% interest rates, but then again, we've never seen, or we haven't seen in the last 15 years, people that are overpaying or sending in cash offers sight unseen without even, waiving home inspections, So Denise brings up a good point of clients not wanting to overpay. Thanks for hopping on today, Denise. Good to see you. So that's the thing. So what I'm trying to get everybody else to notice is you are not alone. Okay, we are all in this together, but it's painting a picture. Okay, and we'll get to that picture in just a second. So feel free to let and any other challenges you guys are seeing. Because if you're wondering if it will ever end, it will. I promise you. Being around long enough, right? This year I'm turning 45, right? So I'm halfway to 90. Look at it. And one of my friends just turned 45 today, and we were talking about, life is like a big pendulum, right? It swings back one way and back the other. And those of you that maybe aren't in your mid 40s by now haven't seen it enough. But I've seen enough of these market cycles, right? I remember the dot-com bust, and I remember, the whole 08 housing bust and all this stuff. So I remember all this stuff. And what happens is a big cycle, right? And this just smells like 2006 to me. Home prices, I bought my first house in 2005, and I was happy to get it. And we put it the best offer we could, best and final. We didn't try to chew the person down by an incredible amount of money, yada, yada, yada. Guess what? I bought that house, put a ton of money into it, and 7 years later couldn't sell it for what I bought it for, right? Or for what I had into it, I should say. So I know from what I speak because I've been there. I'm sure Ed, you know what I'm talking about. Anyone else it's like kind of senior, been around a while, give me a +1 in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. You've seen this before, right? So, but everything, what goes up comes down, right? And the good, the bad, this too shall pass. Everything good will pass, everything bad will pass. Just got to give it enough time, right? So what happens is the question is, it's not will it change? It's when it changes, what are you going to do? Okay, because I really want you to be understanding of, okay, we're going to start seeing some stuff that but you have to do something about it, right? You can't just sit around hoping, waiting, wishing. Hoping is not a game plan, right? So this training that I'm talking about, this is for residential agents that have never closed a commercial transaction, right? Some residential agents that have closed some commercial transactions and want to close larger transactions, or maybe new real estate licensees that aren't sure if they want to get started in residential or commercial. What I'm getting to with all of this is that these headache clients, this 24/7 availability, you're going to see how it's a common theme. You're going to see there might be alternatives as to what you can do. And that's what we're going to get into. So who am I? That's me. That's Christian Peter. That's taken here in Miami. I'm a commercial real estate broker. A couple of my credentials. This is my brag sheet. Don't like to talk a lot about myself because it's a little embarrassing, but you got to say, why am I going to listen to this guy? See that paper there? That right there is a wire transfer. Again, Mama told me not to brag, but if I didn't do something that was worth merit, you probably wouldn't listen. So that is this. This is just from one transaction I did. This is one commercial transaction, 1 day of earnings. Okay, this is what's possible. And there's guys that make 10 times that in the commercial realm. This is just something that one of the transactions that I've done. I want to prove to you guys that, the average American makes $60,000 a year. I was, fortunate enough to make that, triple that in a day, right? So my point is there's a lot of money on the commercial side, okay? I'm the owner of my own firm, Dark Horse Commercial. I have my CCIM designation. I spent 10 years as a property manager. I got a 4-year degree in entrepreneurship and small business management. I also know the construction side of things. I'm a licensed New Jersey master plumber. I'm a licensed Florida electrical contractor. I went to trade school after graduating college. So I've got commercial real estate, I see it from a bunch of different angles. I see it from the brokerage angle, which I want to share with you folks. I see it from the development angle. I see it from the investment angle, because I'm also an investor. I own some warehouses down here in Miami, as well as knowing it from property management, because I worked in property management for a bunch of years. Okay, so what I teach is a 360-degree view of commercial real estate. Any questions you have for me, I guarantee you I've been exposed to something close to it, because I am fortunate enough to have experience in multiple different kind of disciplines throughout commercial real estate. So why do people get involved with commercial real estate, commercial brokerage in particular? They want either more time or more money, right? Who doesn't want one? If you got more time, you can spend it doing the things you love, doing it with the people you love, you know, spending more time with family, not missing those dance recitals, not missing those soccer games. Maybe you want to spend more time on the golf course, perfecting your golf swing, whatever that looks like. If you want to have more money, you want to buy more cool stuff, you want to send your kids to better schools, you want to buy a bigger house, you want to donate to your church, you want to improve your community, you want to have an impact on those around you, whatever it is, okay? More time and more money will allow you to do that. Now, what I want to do is kind of bring up a couple of, bring up some things. Now, mind you, everything you're going to see, this is not guesswork. This is not conjecture. This is not me, my opinion, okay? This is me speaking to literally thousands of residential agents. You know, there are 900 folks in this group alone, and from having taken hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls with people on the phone and having detailed conversations about their business and their life, this is the like I mentioned, students in 5 different time zones. This is what everybody explains to me their reality is on the residential side, right? So there's an expectation on the residential side of 24/7 availability to clients. Whereas on the commercial side, you got 9 to 5 Monday through Friday availability to clients. Why? Because on the commercial side, you're dealing with business owners typically and investors, and they want to handle these things during business hours, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Whereas most people, they work for a boss, you know, 80, 90% of people work for a boss. So when it's time to go look at a new home, they have to either take time off, which most bosses probably won't let them, or they'll handle these matters on nights and weekends. So guess what? If you're handling residential clients, you're going to be working an awful lot on nights and weekends, okay? So residential versus commercial, you guys on the residential side tend to have a lot more transactions than we do. We have fewer transactions, but the numbers, because of the magnitude of the numbers, they tend to be a bit larger. And when I say a bit larger, we'll talk about how much larger in just a few slides. Okay, smaller commissions on the residential side, larger on the commercial side. Sure, we'll talk about that. That's something I'm going to show you some of the proof. And by the way, out of curiosity for you folks that are listening, how many of you have been have closed your first or one of many transactions? If you can, if you've closed as little as one commercial transaction, type +1 in the comments for me. Okay. So now here's the difference between, you know, if you're talking about the types of clients that you deal with, right? I mentioned, you know, dealing with difficult and emotional clients, you know, in the advertising for today. And what it comes down to is the people that are, you know, are looking to buy a home, right? They're not just looking to buy 4 walls and a roof, right? They're looking for the place where they're going to get married, raise their kids, raise their grandkids. They're going to have memories. They're going to have Christmases and Hanukkahs and all kinds of holiday celebrations. They're going to gather the family around and have Thanksgiving dinner and all this stuff. So you gotta, I'm sure you fully understand, it's a much more personal choice, right? Whereas on the commercial side, you're talking about a business choice, right? 1 and 1 equals 2. If 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2, then the deal doesn't work, right? It's not feasible. So you're dealing with spreadsheets, 1s and 0s. That's pretty much it. Either it works or it doesn't work. There's not this emotional high of, oh my God, I love it. Investors very rarely talk in those terms. It's usually very much like, okay, let's talk about the numbers, see what the expenses are, see what the cap rate is, so on and so forth. What are the rents? Very, very logical, right? So you're dealing with more business-minded folks, which means the decision making on the residential side is often more feeling based because you're dealing with something personal. It's a home. It's a place where you're going to live and enjoy times with your family, as opposed to an investment, which is very, very much, just it's 1s and 0s. Whether it works or doesn't, they're not emotionally attached. So therefore, the decision making is logic based and not emotional in nature. Okay. On the residential side, it's oftentimes you can see short deal cycles, 30 days, 60 days. Typically on the commercial side, the deal cycles, once we get something under contract, you know, it's 60 to 90 days, something like that. Less time off on the residential side. The complaint that I get from so many of my students and people I talk to is that they're like on a hamster wheel and they just feel like they never get time off. Okay. Whereas in commercial, we get a lot of weekends off. In fact, and I don't mean to say that with such a smile, but don't get me wrong, we earn it, we work hard for it. But in the last 18 years, I can count on two hands how many showings I've done on a weekend, right? Just because, you know, commercial brokers will look at you cross-eyed if you want to do something on a Friday afternoon, nonetheless a Saturday or a Sunday. So I promise you, you know, weekends, it is not an expectation whatsoever. It's like you got to twist somebody's arm to get a showing on a weekend. So it is nice because you can plan to not have that time because you are dealing with business people Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And then typically, and this is not conjecture, this is fact, on average, residential agents make less than the average commercial agent. And here's where I'll show you that proof, right? So now, like I said, I am a numbers, facts and figures type of guy. This comes from the National Association of Realtors. I don't know how much more from the horse's mouth you can get it, but they claim, according to their statistics, that the average commercial realtor makes $85,000 annually versus $39,300 for residential realtors. Now, I'm not bringing up this particular statistic to brag about an $85,000 a year annual salary, right? That's, you know, it's better than average, right? But that's not what I'm bringing up. I'm not talking about the absolute dollar amount, the 85 versus the 39. What I want to point out is the relative difference, okay? So 39,300 versus 85,000. $85,000 is more than 2 times 39,000, which means the average commercial agent makes more than double what the average residential agent makes, okay? Now, this is another statistic showing that most sources indicate that commercial agents can earn around $85,000 annually. That's only part of the story, and I'll show you why in just a sec. Now, here is a survey that was done by the Real Estate Agent Income Guide that shows that, the National Association of Realtors commercial member profile shows the commercial sales agents have a median gross income of $153,000 and leasing agents have a median gross income of $134,000. So notice, commercial makes about, about 10% to 20% more than leasing. I would say it's a little bit more than that. That's why I stick to sales. Because leasing just isn't quite as lucrative, okay? I see there's some thumbs ups coming in, yeah. So, and if you're talking about the average salary, okay, salary for these folks, you know, they might be on board, leasing agents and whatnot. If you break free of a salary and you go out and you start earning commissions, ooh, those commissions can add up quickly. And I'm going to show you what that's what I mean by that, okay? But just to throw out some of these numbers, that 153,000, that's 2.5 times the national average, okay? Now, how do they earn these large sums of money? Because the average commercial transaction, this is again according to the NAR, shows that it's about $1.6 million, okay? So whereas the average residential home, I should say the median home price last year was $340,000. Okay, so if you look at $340,000 versus $1.6 million, there's a big difference, and that's why the average agent can earn so much more on the commercial side, even with less transactions. Now what I want to talk to you guys about is how the money is earned on the commercial side. Now you'll be happy to learn. And by the way, just out of curiosity, before we get into this, okay, do me a favor. Type again your states again. Type which states you're in, because this is a fun little fact. So I track the average deal sizes across the nation, right? So I remember we had a California, we had a Texas, right? We have a New York. We'll throw out some other states for me there. I see we've got a bunch of people on the line at this point. We got Florida, this is one of my favorites. This really drives it home, okay? So I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with CoStar, right? But CoStar is the largest aggregator of commercial data in the country, okay? And what they do is they take every time I sell a piece of property, every time I lease a piece of property, they call me up, they see, okay, what they do is they check on all my listings every month. And at the end of the month, they say, okay, what happened with this? What happened with that? And they give me all these details. They give me the third degree, and I give them all the information, or at least most of it, right? Now, what they do is they take that, they aggregate it all, and then they sell it, right? And that's fine because they come up with really, really good data. So, okay, so Wilson, you're in New York City. Okay, oh, love it. Okay, can you read what that says right there? $2.5 million. Okay, that's New York City. Okay, this is a rolling list of all the average sales prices. Ed is out in California. Ooh, California. 2.8 million for California. Okay, really nice. We have a Texas. Texas is 1.6 million. Okay, the point I'm making. Yep. Okay, Wilson sees. Yeah. All right. And then who else? Who else do we have there? I saw we have Florida. Florida. Here we are. Florida's a little bit above average. We're at 1.9 million. Okay. So the point that I'm making is, these numbers aren't pulled out of the sky. This is just data from the I call CoStar basically the MLS of commercial, right? So this is like going to your MLS and finding out what the numbers are. So let's talk about what the commissions look like on an average sale. Forget Florida at 1.9 million. Forget California at 2.8 million, right? Hawaii, I think, is the highest. I think it's like 3.5 million, right? But let's just go through the numbers, right? So how are commercial commissions earned? Okay, in most states, the commercial commission structure mimics the residential commissions up to about $5 million, which means, if you're in a 6% environment where 3% go to the buy side, 3% go to the sales side, up to about $5 million, you're going to be able to earn a 6% fee. So let's just take that average example. Okay, so a $5 million fee would be a $5 million sale transaction in 6% would be $300,000. But let's take a small example. Okay, $1.6 million at 6% is a $96,000 total commission. Okay, the commission earned per side, so 3 points on each side, would be $48,000. Okay, now for those of you in some states, you say, oh, $48,000, that's not that big a commission. But I'll tell you what, for those of you selling $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 homes, that's a good size commission, So let's take that example, right? The median home price, right? So for every $340,000 home, there was X amount that sold for less than that and X amount that sold for more than that. That's what median means. It doesn't mean average, but it means kind of middle of the road in terms of the overall number, right? Because sometimes if you sell a $10 million home, it's going to skew the average much higher than it really is, okay? So the typical commission on a median home sale is $340,000, would be $10,200. The average sale price is $1.6 million for commercial. Typical commission is about 3%. You're looking at $48,000. So if you were to just compare the $48,000 to the $10,200, right, you have to sell almost 5 houses to equal 1 commercial transaction. Okay, let that sink in. You have to sell, we're talking averages, 5 houses to equal 1 commercial sale. Okay, so can you see why it makes sense? I'm not saying to abandon what you're doing on the residential side. I'm not saying that at all. Please do not walk away from today's live with me thinking that that's what I mean. What I mean is keep doing what you're doing. Spend 80% of your time doing that, and just add on a little bit. Learn to close those 1, 2, 3 opportunities you get a year, 5 opportunities you get a year, whatever that looks like, okay? I guarantee you, if you close 2 to 3 deals a year, you'll put an extra $50, $60, $80, $100,000 in your pocket like that, just by learning a skill set. So the question is, what would you do with more time? What would you do with more money? What would you do with a little bit more time and money, right? Make the world a better place, you know, spend more time with family, do the things you love to do. We're only on here for an indeterminate amount of time. Spend it with those you love. Right? Okay, so does anybody have any questions with regard to what we went over, right? The idea is, right, not for you to go and just throw everything out the window, throw everything out the door. I have a recipe for you. And if anybody would like to hear what my recipe is for a better life, you let me know. Type recipe in. I need someone to let me know that they want to hear it, because I think it's brilliant, but you tell me. I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a silly commercial broker over here. But do me a favor and type the word recipe in, and I'll explain to you why. In fact, there's times where I'm even envious that you guys have so many transactions, because you can keep things going. You know, they're very, very predictable. Commercial is less predictable, but the reason why commercial agents, why residential agents make great commercial agents, is because they have that predictability in part of their business. Cynthia writes in recipe. Okay, here's the recipe. Like I said, keep doing what you're doing, okay? The way you get rid of, and this is going to tie all the way back into the beginning of the program, or at the beginning of the live, when I was talking about how to get rid of those difficult clients, how to get rid of that 24/7 availability, and how to basically have a better quality of life, okay? Here's the recipe for that. You keep doing what you're doing, right? But how many of you, okay, have heard of the 80-20 rule? Raise your hand. Type +1 in the chat if you've heard of the 80-20 rule, okay? 80-20. Can anybody let me know? Anybody? Wait for it. Bueller, okay? 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule comes from the Pareto principle. And there was a guy hundreds of years ago that learned that 20% of his seeds brought him 80% of his crops, right? And that kind of got him to thinking about efficiency and so on and so forth, right? And what it comes down to is that your 80-20 rule is that it's 80% of your efforts come from 20%. I'm sorry, 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts, right? That's one thing. I do an inverse for headache clients. I do an inverse, right? How many of you are willing to agree by a raise of hands? I tell you what, give me a thumbs up in the comments if you agree with this statement, okay? That 80% of your headaches in your business come from 20% of your clients. It's the same 20% of your clients that give you 80% of your headaches. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you agree with that statement, because I know it's true for me, right? That it's always that one bad apple. You know, it's 1 out of 5. It's not very many. Okay, all right. I see a whole lot. Wilson's giving up the thumbs up. Denise, Cynthia. Yeah, exactly, right? So what we're talking about here is getting rid of those headaches. I'm not telling you to scrap your business plan. I'm not telling you to just throw everything out that you ever learned, okay? What I am telling you to do is learn something additional. Learn how to close those couple transactions that come to a year. You know, it might only add 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, right? But that's going to add up, and you're going to get better at doing it. And you're going to be more confident. You're going to be able to take on bigger requirements in the future. Now, here's what I'm talking about. My recommendation is this: get comfortable selling commercial so that you can have additional money. Now, when you have additional money coming in, right? So if all things being average, if you can close 3 commercial deals instead of closing 3 residential deals, guess what? That's going to put let's call it another $50,000 in your pocket. So you can do one of two things. You can either A, spend, work less and spend more time with family, okay? B, have more money to put towards savings or those things that you want and need and so on and so forth. And C, you could also make the same amount of money, but have less headaches. And here's how, right? Or you can make more money and have less headaches at the same time, and I'll explain. Being that you know that 80% of your headaches come from 20% of your clients, what it'll allow you to do is, on the residential side, be pickier about who you do business with. Now, how many of you, and now give me a +1 in the comments when you hear this. How many of you have been at the signing table when you're signing a listing and you're like, oh my gosh, this person's going to be a pleasure to work with. They're so nice and so kind, and they wind up being, right? By a show of hands, give me a +1 in the comments if you've ever dealt with somebody at the closing, when you're signing the listing, and you're like, oh, they're going to be so much fun. This is going to be really a pleasure, and it winds up being, right? Go ahead, just somebody give me a +1. Humor me, right? Okay, because here's why. Because at the same token, right? How many of you have ever been at the closing table or at the table when you're signing the paperwork, right? And you say to yourself, this person's gonna be a nightmare. Oh my, this is not gonna be good. But either the property is amazing or the commission check's really fat or whatever it might be, okay? But at the end of the day, you know that like this isn't gonna be the easiest. And you know what? You wind up being right. Okay, and by the same token, also, so if you know that this person's going to be a headache, type +2 if that's ever happened to you, where you're just like, oh, here we go. And sometimes you got to keep the lights on. Sometimes you got bills to pay. Sometimes, you have overhead. I get all that, right? Maybe you have, people that services and office rents and all that stuff you got to pay. I get it all, right? But sometimes you take on people that are going to be a headache, and they want to be a complete headache, and maybe you don't get that house sold, maybe you don't get that property sold, or whatever it is, and you end up just dealing with an amazing headache, blowing marketing dollars on this person that's a total pain in the butt, and they wind up never. Okay, so at the end of the day, what winds up happening is you deal with all these headaches. So my recommendation, my recipe, bringing this all back together again, is learn to sell a couple of those commercial deals a year, so you don't have to deal with the people that are such a pain, right? You know it, you see it coming. You know the ones that are going to be tough. You know the ones that were so tough to give you a meeting, and they beat you up over price, beat you up on commission, beat you up on this. They're not going to be any easier. In fact, they're only going to get harder, right? So just know that you can avoid that by adding, you bring on more money, you can deal with less people that you don't want to, right? So that is my recommendation to how to help your family more, how to help your community more, have more time, have more money, sell commercial, make more money, deal with less headache clients, be more selective with your clients. I promise you, you will be happier. Your spouse or your loved ones will be happier when you're in a better mood coming home. Because how many of you have ever come home in a foul mood because you just got into an argument or you had a rough time or had a stressful day with a client because they're just a terror. It's happened to all of us, right? So that's something to keep in mind, folks. Okay. So if you are interested in learning more about how you want to take this and implement this into your life, I host a coaching program. It's a 6-month coaching program. And if you're interested in learning more, what we do is we specialize in taking residential agents and teaching them how to sell commercial. Nobody else in the market is doing it. Nobody else is helping you folks. And I am here to do that. I saw how many skills residential agents have and how much easier it is for a realtor to learn how to sell commercial than trying to teach someone brand new commercial from scratch, right? You guys already have 5 of the 8 key steps involved in closing a commercial transaction. You just got to plug in 3 more. So if you want to learn more about those 3 steps, okay, you want to learn about the coaching program, type program into the comments for me. I'll reach out to you. We can have a dialogue. I can explain to you a bit more about how this works, because the only thing that's stopping most people is from getting to the point where, knowing they want to do something to actually receiving something or actually getting the job done is that skills, knowledge, and confidence. And I can give you all 3. You're only missing 3 things. I can give those to you. I can teach you how to do it. I can walk you through that. So go ahead and type in program below if you're interested in learning more, and then we can hop on a call and we can get started. Okay. Hope you guys have a great week. Hope you are getting after it. I look forward to seeing you again next week. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to reach out in Messenger. And also don't forget, type in program down below and I can explain to you how our 6-month coaching program works. And other than that, I will see you guys same time, same place next week. Hope you're having a great week. Go get them.